Alright, so we're going to be continuing my Truth About One Punch Man series, and today we're going to be talking about Blast, the #1 S-Class hero. I'm also going to be talking about a lot of stuff that I already went over in my previous videos in this series, so please check out the playlist that I have in case you need to be caught up on all of this stuff or you just need a refresher. But aside from us knowing that Blast is the #1 S-Class hero, we also know that he's really interested in the cubes that are connected to God. So far in the series, we've seen both past and present, he's gone around collecting these cubes. And on the surface, his motives have stayed pretty ambiguous. But if you've been following these videos, you'll know that we pretty much know what's going on with them. So let me get into the Egyptian mythological figure that Blast is based off of, and that is Ptah. So Ptah is an ancient Egyptian deity, a creator god, and patron of craftsmen and architects. In the Triad of Memphis, he is the husband of Sekhmet and the father of Nefertim. He is also regarded as the father of the sage Imhotep. So let's break down those three names there. So Sekhmet represents Fubuki, Nefertim represents blue, and I'm pretty sure Imhotep represents Sich. Now as for Sekhmet being Fubuki, I'm going to be talking about that in another video dedicated to her. But obviously Blast isn't the husband of Fubuki in One Punch Man, but I think this more so represents that they are related. And I'm sure many of us have speculated that it's likely that Blast is related to Tatsumaki and Fubuki in some way. But going off of this and the history of the One Punch Man world that is presented to us, it seems that he is their father. First, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Potato VPN. But wait, you might be thinking, potato? Is that like potato quality? No, it's quite the opposite, because Potato VPN is ultra quality. It gives you global servers and locations to secure all of your internet activity. You'll be able to stay safe on those shady sites I know you're going on, and you can also get that region blocked anime content. Let's go. So check out Potato VPN, link is in the description. So what really makes me think that is that their ages kind of line up. Blast's implied age is to be like, I don't know, in his 50s or something. So that would make sense that he'd be the father of a 28 and 23-year-old. And then of course also they're all espers, or at least Blast is implied to be an esper, or it's said by Miss F, who is Fubuki in the One Punch Man encyclopedia, that Blast is straight up an esper. And also when Blast saves Tatsumaki from that testing facility, he somehow knows that she has a sister. Now either Blast is like reading Tatsumaki's mind by putting his hand on her head, or he simply always knew because they're his daughters. And also we never know who the true parents of Tatsumaki and Fubuki are. We just know right off the bat that they were given to a foster family, and then their foster family sold them off to the cube testing facility. So it just makes sense to me that Blast is their father, and he put them up for adoption because, you know, he's Blast and he has to do the cube stuff, which we'll get into. And while we don't know Blast's official color scheme yet, I'm pretty sure his hair is going to be revealed to be blue, because Ptah's head is blue, and that could explain why Tatsumaki's hair is green and why Fubuki's hair is like black and green or whatever it is. Maybe their mother had blonde hair or something. So as for Nefertim, this is blue. So the little information that we have on him says that Nefertim was eventually seen as the son of the creator god Ptah, and the goddesses Sekhmet and Bast, who are Fubuki and Tatsumaki, were sometimes called his mother. In art, Nefertim is usually depicted as a beautiful young man having blue water lily flowers around his head. And as for Imhotep, like I said, I'm pretty sure this is Sich. So it says Imhotep was an Egyptian counselor to Pharaoh Djoser. I'm pretty sure Djoser is Agoni and possible architect of Djoser's step pyramid, and the high priest of the sun god Ra at Heliopolis. So we all know that Ra is Saitama by now, and Heliopolis is the Hero Association. And the main reasoning for Imhotep being Sich, because he is the one directly in the Hero Association who talks about Blast and is name dropped by Blast. Because when Blast is leaving with Saitama and Flashy Flash, he says, hey, say hi to Sich and Tatsumaki for me. And of course, him being a high priest to Ra at Heliopolis, which is the Hero Association as we established, and this means the city of the sun. Sun, Ra, Saitama. And it was principally noted as the cult center of the sun god Atum, who is king, who came to be identified with Ra. And this is why Saitama lives at the Hero Association currently, because it's this. But anyway, let's go back to Ptah, because he is generally represented in the guise of a man with green skin, contained in a shroud sticking to the skin, wearing a divine beard and holding a scepter containing 3 powerful symbols of the ancient Egyptian religion: power, life, and stability. His form is found contained in its white shroud, wearing the Atef crown, an attribute of Osiris, who we've established is God. Gradually, he formed with Osiris a new deity called Ptah Sokar Osiris. So this means a few things in my opinion. First of all, of course, we've seen that God takes the form of Blast, and when he's like exposed, he looks like a fusion of God and Blast. But also, I'm pretty sure this means that the black hole singularity abilities that we see coming from Blast are also coming from God. Now, we don't know how he did this yet, but in my opinion, he somehow reverse engineered the cube, or just the abilities that God can give to you. Because also, God knows Blast's name. When we first see Saitama and Flashy Flash make contact with God after Blast shows up, God's like, "Is that Blast?" So they definitely have a history. So I don't know if Blast like made a deal with God originally, and then he somehow tricked him and then retained the powers, but didn't have to become reliant on him or have that linked as to where he can receive confiscation, or Blast using his inherent Esper power somehow reverse engineered the cube that way and then siphoned its power and made himself stronger. Now, another thing about Ptah is that he's an Egyptian creator god who conceived the world and brought it into being through the creative power of speech. The Hymn of Ptah says that Ptah created the world in the design of his heart, and that he gave life to all the gods through his heart and his tongue. So all the other gods are the heroes, of course, and I think this means that since we know that Blast is like the first shown person to be a hero in the series, because when we first see him in the flashback, he says like, you know, I'm a hero, although that's more of a hobby, I do have a proper job. And I think that when the Hero Association came together after it was formed by Agoni, witnessing the events of Saitama aka Ra, I guess Sitch came on board at first as well, but Sitch knew Blast or something. I don't know. We're just gonna have to really speculate a lot about this because there's little information to go off of in the story and also the Egyptian literature. But I assume that the way that the Hero Association works and the formation of the heroes and all that stuff is large in part because of Blast's input. And this also goes into the cult of Ptah. Now, I think this means multiple things, because the cult of Ptah could either just be the Hero Association itself, but it could also be this League of Blast that we see in space or wherever they are, after Blast reveals that he's not fighting alone out there. And this was also secretly revealed to us by One in chapter 119 of the webcomic. I talked about this in my previous video, but it basically says that after the cruel dragon came to Earth, aka Osiris, God, ancient soldiers gathered together and with a great many sacrifices managed to weaken the cruel dragon. Seal Masters separated the essence of the dragon using the 9 seal stones and sealed them in the temples scattered across the land. So this of course parallels the original Osiris myth, which One is choosing to use the version that says that Osiris's brother Set conspired with many accomplices and tricked Osiris to get into a box, which he cut up into pieces and threw into the Nile. And this is basically what's happening in the One Punch Man continuity. That's why we see God in that fetal position, because that was like the hypercube or whatever he was put inside of by these seal masters, and then it was cut into pieces, and that's why there's multiple cubes out there. But going further, it says the duty of watching over the cruel dragon seal was passed down to our branch known as Saints. These Saints, like I talked about before, I'm pretty sure are Blast and his Green Lantern Corps that we see. And this is of course the reason why he is always going after the cubes. And just to finish this off, let me just put it out there that Blast is a good guy. I mean, if we already haven't established that enough by now. But going back into the Egyptian stuff, it says that Ptah could correspond with the sun deities Ra and Atem during the Armana period, where he embodied the divine essence of which the sun god was fed to come into existence. So yeah, Ra is Saitama, Blast is not a bad guy. But yeah, that's all of the insight that we're really going to be able to get into Blast at this point, because Ptah himself is kind of ambiguous, just the way that Blast is. We know more than we did originally, I guess, but we're just going to have to wait because One has carefully crafted this character to stay mysterious. But yeah, if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.